Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today once again with our highly anticipated gold update for the month of November. Now that it's wrapped up, and now that we have another month leading into the finality of the year here. But guys, I'm just going to be quite frank and honest here. It's bad. We've already seen this continuation from the last couple of months, but in the first time in a long time, this is the worst the gold economy has ever been. And we have that information here for you guys. And you may have already seen some of the other content creators. Big Positive Geek is a big creator in terms of always tracking this as well. So massive shout out to him. But my numbers line up with his numbers, which is we've definitely seen a significant decrease now in the gold economy. And it's likely due to, I think, Mobile Gamer and Desir also made a video recently on how there was a change in the team. They're distributing the resources, taking a look at what should be flowing into the players' hands. That could very likely be the factor here because we identified this a couple of months ago. So they're a little bit slow to the game, but that's why we always track this month to month, guys. So let's get started here. Let's talk about why I'm doing this and why we've positioned ourselves in a way to manage and monitor the economy of the game, right? In the 2024, when we first started this strategy, we wanted to identify if we could keep up with the meta and priorities and at the same time save gold. So in order to understand that, we need to know how much gold do we actually earn completely free to play, assuming you don't pay for anything, you don't spend any of the battle passes, strike passes, or any of the offers, just maximizing the majority of the end game content. Keep in mind, I am a highly engaged end game player, so obviously I would be able to complete a lot more events than, let's say, if you're a beginning player or mid game. But at the end of the day, I can at least identify what is that ceiling. And that ceiling seemed to have been 250 to 300 million gold per month free to play. So then I established a 2025 goal, is that I was going to try and hit 1 billion gold with this understanding, because at the end of the day, budgeting is like anything in life, right? At the end of when you take a look at your bank account, so as long as you're saving more than you're spending, in theory, you should be actually building a reserve and building a supply. And that's how you can actually allow to adapt and pivot to certain situations, like when the game releases new teams, new characters, and so forth. So this is the 2024 overview and snapshot. Yes, I do plan on doing a 2025 one now that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year. But why I want to produce this summary here is so that you can see what exactly did we earn for every single month in 2024. How much did we actually spend in 2024 for each month? And then finally, what was the net? What did we actually gain or lose in that monthly period? And that was actually what translated to the gold balance that we had. So in knowing this, in generating the 250, 300 million gold per month, as you can see, starting all the way back from June of 2024 in the green numbers, that's where really the stronger side of the economy came into play. Maybe there was a change in leadership, maybe there's a change in the team there, but for whatever reason, they promised to give us more gold, and they did. From June all the way to December, we were clearing, north of 250 all the way up to 300 million gold per month, which is huge. It allowed us to obviously capitalize in the arena meta. We unlocked every legendary release at the time, which was Shadow King and Old Man Logan. It allowed us to establish ourselves, actually even finishing Mephisto top 4,000, Odin top 3,200. And again, guys, I am 100% free to play. No battle passes, nothing from me in my side. So that way I can establish what is the free to play ceiling, so as long as you're engaged. Now, let's pivot over quickly here to the 2025 current situation, because it started off actually continuing where we left off in 2024, right? This is a very promising start. All the way from January to March, I mean, we were clearing an average of almost 300 million gold per month. This was huge, guys. This was an absolute record that we've never seen before. So I was very hopeful, very happy about what we saw. But now we are seeing that significantly pulled back. Let's take a look at the next quarter. Very consistent. Okay, and apologies. The reason why we see such a weird number in May and June is because I did take roughly 2.5, 3 weeks off. So I had to do a mid-month period for May. So for those of you thinking, oh, wait, what the heck? Why did we drop so much? No. It's not actually what happened. It's because we stopped recording the gold balance in May 16th. And then we added that into June. So that's why it's better to focus this quarter two on the average than the actual individual month. But regardless, you can see here, the average for the 3 months in quarter two, all the way from April to June, was roughly 262 million gold. This was already starting to see a dip, right? Remember, the previous months combined were averaging close to 300, and then we went down to 262 million, 11% decrease. But, there was no red flags yet. I was still thinking, hey, we've identified in 2024 that the average is typically around 250 to 300. As far as my eyes are concerned, we're still within that average. Then things started to take a turn for the worse here, right? In Q3, it's kind of when we started seeing some cracks, if you will, in the armor that there was something going on behind the scenes. So July, strong month, 277. August, 247 million gold, strong. And then you would think September, 257. You know, no red flags, nothing's going on there with the 260, right? But remember, September 2025 is when we identified that there was something going on here with the compensation calendar that they released. This 257 million gold is inclusive of this compensation that they released. So technically speaking, right? And if you guys don't know the history on this, just remember that essentially there was an error and a mistake with the way that offers are done. So a lot of players were just gifted the 65 million gold, myself included. This screenshot came directly from my account. When I saw that, I was also gifted this because I guess it was really just a nod to the spenders. But anyways, this 65 million, ladies and gentlemen, was inclusive of the 257 that we saw in September of 2025. So that means in actuality, in September, the true gold should have been closer to 200 million gold. So we already were seeing a dip of 50 to 60 million because this was not budgeted in their plan of distributing to players. So, you know, red flag number one, I was thinking, okay, you know what? It could be a one-off. We could be just seeing a situation where it right sizes the next month. No, we are wrong. Because as you saw in the September update here, and again, this includes that 65 million, we ended the month at 257. Now let's take a look at the October change, right? Our September balance here was still a billion gold from the previous month. Oh, sorry, let me show you the screenshot. It was a billion gold there at the end of the month, and the net was 257. When we started the next month off here, there was that Superior ISO 8 event for the first time with Purple ISO 5, right? Or sorry, was it Purple 5 or Purple 4? One of the two. Regardless, we had to add that back because we used a significant amount of gold. So really, the true income that we earned for October was almost the same as September, which was roughly around that 200 million mark. And for good reason, because of the fact, like I said, that extra 65 million gold in September was not supposed to be gifted to players, but it was. So it inflated the number higher than it should. So already for September, then the true income would have been closer to 200 million gold. And then for October, that reconciliation here, right? We usually budget 5 million to 6 million gold per day. That's how we get that amount back in. And then I also added back the amount that I spent directly for the Superior ISO 8 event. So in total, we spent 355 million gold, but we actually only earned 200. And that's what put us in the month-end balance here of 857. Now, this is where things get super interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Because remember, this is the starting balance now for November, right? 857. Okay, so my balance here, if you're just looking at the screenshot, yes, I'm clearing a billion gold now, but that's not really the point because remember, in the month of October and November, there was a transition where, and I made a video on this too, guys. This is why you should follow along to take advantage of these tips and tricks along the way. There was a Blitz Orbs change where I said, hey, we should probably convert the majority of these Blitz Orbs, use your store credits. So that actually gave me a whopping 180 million gold extra in my balance. Again, not budgeted for, right? This is not gold that they expected us to get. But regardless, we did it for our account individually and for those of you that were able to capitalize on this opportunity that I announced. So we add back the 180 to the 857, but then I was still budgeting 5.5 million gold per day because I needed to work within my budget just in terms of just navigating teams and building things for like Shadow King, Quasar, Brimstone, Danger Room, so forth, right? But now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the the net true gold for the month of November is 165 million gold. This is the lowest it's ever been, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at the facts here, right? All the way from Q1 to Q3, even if we, leave an asterisk next to that September for 2025, that 260 million, it is without, dispute now that October and November, we've seen some significant decreases in terms of the gold coming to the player's hands. The drop to 200 million. And then now a 44% decrease when you compare that back to Q1 where we were clearing north or close to 300 million gold. It's now down to 165 for November. And I don't anticipate this to get better because December is usually a slower month. And let me show you guys this. This is why I like the 2024 summary. If we look back on this chart here, the last time we hit 160 million gold or close to that mark was May of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. That is just bad news bears for the economy. It's bad news for players, commanders. Those of you thinking that we're getting gold in the game, we're not. It means that we may have to change our spending, especially these are, some astounding figures when we compare it to how we started the year. So 2025 review. Not looking great, guys, because remember, my initial game plan was if we budget 5 to 6 million gold per day, or roughly 180 per month, it allows us to establish gold supply while also encompassing new teams, Age of X, and events. But now, in the final quarter of the year, this is without question a weakened economy. There's no signs of improvement. We're going to wait to see how the next few weeks are, but I don't expect this to be better. This may very well be the new reality, ladies and gentlemen, which means we might have to revise our gold spending monthly to roughly 4.5 to 5 million per day, or cap it at 150 million gold per month. And things like, you know, if you think about just the number of teams they release, most recently this new raid that they have where 320 is required, everything is taking away from the fact that we should be focusing on Professor Xavier. He's still, without question, the most impactful character in the game, but they keep releasing tunes, events, where they're taking away that precious Gear Tier 20, and now, without question, there's also less gold, guys. So, please share this with your alliance, share this with your friends. This is really bad news for the gold economy of the game, and we might need to change the way that we invest in our characters to keep up with the game. But again, like I said, I'm free to play, so this is going to be the ceiling, right? For those that are actually spending money in the game, for those that are actually, you know, getting those battle passes and strike passes, you may very well have seen that they've been nerfed, and they've definitely been rewarding less, and that's exactly what everyone's feeling right now. So something's got to change, guys. Hopefully, the developers, hopefully, you know, the Marvel Strike Force player voice movement can make this known as well. Hopefully, the envoys and other content creators can share this as well. But not looking great for the game, guys. We have to manage ourselves a little better, but that's why I always preach budgeting and making sure that I track when I'm spending in a game in terms of the gold. And that way we can make decisions, especially when we know that there's a significant shift in the economy now. And without question, it does not look great for the start of 2026, guys. So I'll keep you up to date. I'll keep monitoring this, but unfortunately, not good news for the game. We'll see in due time, and hopefully there's going to be some improvements. But I'll be the first to make sure that you guys are up to date, guys. So do let me know down in the comments below. How do you guys feel? How has your research been personally? Please share that. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.